Is it there, sir?
Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the Culver Town Council meeting for Thursday, September 25th, 2025. I'd like to remind everyone that if you have a cell phone or other electronic device, if you'd either put it on airplane or turn it off, it would be greatly appreciated. Another mention is that this meeting is being recorded and your participation is your consent to be rebroadcast and recorded on the town's YouTube channel. This time, roll call, please.
William Clevenger.
Present.
Justin Croy.
Here.
Jenny Monroe. Here. Dana Neer.
Here.
Sally Ricciardi.
Here.
Will you all please join me in the pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the September 11th minutes of the Culver Town Council. Everyone, councilors had a chance to review the minutes. Any additional corrections? If not, entertain a motion to approve.
Yeah, motion.
Mr. Nair moves to accept the minutes. Second by Mr. Ricciardi. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is public concern, utility, ordinance, violation, and appeal. Anyone here wish to address the council? Sir, are you here to address the council?
I am not, I'm just here to represent Commonwealth Engineers.
Okay, all right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone here for public concern, utility, ordinance, violation, or appeals? Yes, sir.
Terry Cheseldine, 520 South Plymouth. About 5 months ago, I brought up, I hate to pester this, but it's been 5 months. And maybe you're going to discuss it in a minute, but public input is first and not later. I'm just asking that we start to work on the parking paint. And again, I brought this up several times and I get some promises, but I'm not seeing that any progress there. Is there some reason, or is it just a low priority that is not important?
Mr. Dante, you want to address that?
Yes, sir. Talking with Mr. Porter, we've had one, we're short staffed at the moment. We've had one going for surgery. However, tonight we were doing a review, both Mr. Becker, Chad Becker, as well as Bob has been going around looking at several streets to make adjustments based upon requests. One of them being Lakeview, Coolidge. So they were doing a little bit of analysis of where the parking is and prioritizing. It took a little bit longer than normal. And I know I've probably been saying we're getting to it, because I'm being told we're getting to it. And I know that it's probably been 5 months, and then the tree kind of got pushed back, things got pushed back on the calendar. It is well within our intention to get some painting. Tonight, you'll hear that we're proposing some new no parking.
Right.
So getting that established so we can go out and make one run. With the new sprayer, it hits pretty quick. And so we can get it knocked out. Last year, we did 3 years worth within 2 sprayings.
Good.
So we'll get to it, and I appreciate your patience, but don't hesitate to keep on about it, okay? And don't apologize for doing it.
Thanks, Gary.
You bet. Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone online?
I did receive one letter, Mr. President,
All right.
one request tonight. This comes from Bobby Cooper Jr., Robert
All
Cooper
right.
Jr. on Main Street. On his property line, there are several stakes. There are 3 stakes that were denoted as to delineate where a privacy fence was going to go in. The stakes have been there a while. He's expressing concern. They're about 3 foot off the ground. They're re-rod. There's about 3 or 4 of them. Making a request to the property owner, it's on their side of the property. However, he has young children and he's concerned about his children. The property owner subsequently today, upon request, has put foam over the top of them. I asked Mr. Cooper if that satisfies. He sent the following text, and I want to record for him. Updates to the stakes. I'm sorry, but 2 inches of foam pull noodle is not going to stop somebody from sparing their head on this. Nothing about this is acceptable, and I'm requesting that the steel stakes be removed from my property line. Thank you for your assistance and consideration, council. That comes from Mr. Cooper. The property owners are here tonight, and I'm reading it into record. We're trying to get a resolution. just as the brush, there was a complaint about brush, we had it removed. Mr. Cooper was very kind to work with us on that, and I asked him to do it. I'm wondering if we can find a resolution towards the steel stakes, maybe something wood or something smaller that would be a little safer because he's concerned for his children.
And two of them were broke off. One of them being thrown in the brush that Mr. Cooper so kindly worked with you with after 4 attempts, and him moving it and becoming a nuisance in your own words today on my property.
And you picked that brush up in your own personal, your own work
And we
vehicle.
appreciate
And
that.
And you
I-
took one of those stakes with you in
I
that
did.
brush, number one. Number two,
I don't remember seeing a stake, but I will say this, if I may. I asked Mr. Cooper, and it's a very small pile. And it was, and I asked him to consider it, and it was the definition of a nuisance that I stretched. I looked up a nuisance ordinance that has a safety hazard concerning property. I've also spoke with our attorney today. I'm hoping that we can find something other than steel re-rod stakes in there for consideration. However, if that is not acceptable to you, I'm asking the council to make considerations about public safety here on behalf of Mr. Cooper and I'm communicating.
Yes, the fence is, we're waiting for it to come in and get, put in. It will be metal stakes. It's metal anyways with the wood. It's a combination of both.
And is that project under permit at this point?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
They did come before the plan and it was a while back.
And it's still under.
and the reason it got delayed was Mr. Cooper has gone all over town, even though he watched the survey company come and survey the property, that the property line was still fake. And so we don't want to incur any additional costs. So we are waiting until the right time to put that fence up. And it is under permit.
And I will just add this. We're waiting on getting the backside of our barn, our hay barn. We are redoing the hay barn, siding it, re-siding it. But the back end of it, because it's a non-conform lot, we've had this issue since forever. Because the back end of it faces, it's the north of, faces the Coopers.
It's on the property.
And it does encroach because that's the non-conform lot. But Mr. Cooper has made it impossible by putting no trespassing signs for us to finish getting that barn unsided so that we can get it resided, because when the fence goes up, it'll be touching and moving forward.
Have you had a survey done of where the fence is gonna go?
We've had 2 of them.
Who?
Okay, so the surveyor stake would have been put in place.
It was.
Okay, so surveyor stakes are protected by law. You're not allowed to be able to remove them.
100%.
So the only involvement the town has is the fact that you have a 3-foot, 3-foot rebar, which would be inherently dangerous for a child or anybody.
Okay, let me just say this. If you would drive by, no, stop. If you would drive by, you would see that nobody goes near that because his motorhome is directly next to it. So his kids do not play anywhere.
Well, I
Even if they
understand the
wanted
debate.
to, and
I mean,
start
there's
out.
surveyor
The other
stakes,
thing is-
then you got your markings.
Yeah.
Even
Why
though there's
why do you have to put up rebar when there's already surveyor stakes?
He busted 3 of them out of the 5.
Well, then
Because
look,
He
it's
or his
immature.
wife busted.
the surveyor stakes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the surveyor could report that to the police. That's a crime, actually.
Oh,
So,
so when we report it to his family members who are on our,
no, I wouldn't report it to his family. members.
okay,
He was the chief of police.
and
That's-
it's, there's been a lot more and you're new to this.
Police report?
We've made several, but no reports are made or written because nobody wants to do the paperwork, but we have made complaints, yes. And supposedly reports were made, but we know that reports were not written. But regardless,
And today when Kevin was at our house, he asked me if I could pound those stakes down.
Are you something other to mark the spot? I
No,
appreciate
you asked me if I could pound
Or
them
pound them
down.
down. Sure.
Pound them down to
6
about
inches.
this, he said about this high. Well, it would be more dangerous if we pound them to that high, if the kids were playing there, than they are now. And they don't sell the tips to protect rebar, so I did a nice job securing 4 inches of plastic around there so they can't
hurt themselves. Now, this is the same guy that said he didn't want our porch because his daughters could hurt themselves while they were playing on the sidewalk in front of our house. They don't do that either.
Either way, this rebar, things have been put in place since the beginning of all of this fence issue.
You have the surveyor's stake that's pounded in the ground. You don't need anything between, besides the
You would think
surveyor's
that
stake.
if you had,
and the one at the back.
if, you would think that if you had somebody who wasn't playing the silliness in between. I would love to ask,
But
I'll ask the
rebar-
council now, is there any way that I can take a, much like what Collins should have, like a 3 foot, 4 foot, whatever, orange, tie it to that? I'm more than happy to do that.
When do you expect your,
I just explained the deadline that I'm waiting on. So a lot of it has to do with when my barn can get done, but I have until August of next year.
And with this refusal to let us on property to take the siding off the barn,
Or
we're now going to go into another winter when that barn has not been repaired and resided. And it's total BS.
It's a lot, and I get, Kevin seems to keep telling us that this is a civil thing. Part of it is, and the other part is when there's a nuisance situation or anything going on, it takes 4 requests. And in between, it's, okay, Kevin, I'll do it. And then he moves it somewhere else inappropriately, then moves it over here again, then blocks the alley, to why Kevin had to come out today. And I have all the emails, all the
I
photos,
will correct.
and all of, Kevin, I'm talking, just a moment,
That's
please.
fine.
And all of the, background information. I have it all well documented. I just want to be able to continue to better our community on our end. And it seems every time there is an incident or asking we move forward, there's always a reason why somebody, instead of talking to us or, being neighborly, he takes another route, which puts everything at a stop. And I end up taking more money out of my funding to have a nice
I
house.
think we're getting off the subject. I think we came here and discussed about rebar. Mr. Dante read the letter.
And I read the letter. I asked Mr. Cooper to remove the brush. I did take time because this is the picture of the pile, if you want to see it. It's very low to the ground. I didn't know if it actually constituted a nuisance. He used it for firewood. That was his calculation. His daughter cut it. And they use it for their bonfires when they go camping. It was a very small pile. It literally was 2 handfuls. It wasn't blocking the alley. I'm talking.
I'm not talking.
And I asked Mr. Cooper for the stringent definition of the
He
nuisance
has the
ordinance.
floor.
That's fine. I just have my hand up.
I asked him by the stringent definition of the nuisance that a pile like this could be considered. He cooperated. At first, he was a little mad, but upon appeal to him, he cooperated with me in good spirit and asked me to pick it up. So I came today and I picked it up to try to fulfill a duty. What I'm increasingly seeing from this end of town on South Main is that the town is being brought into what I consider to be a civil dispute between 2 neighbors.
It is a civil dispute, and there are resolutions to these things in the law. You're gonna need to seek legal advice, there are things called a legal survey dispute. Okay, you keep saying yes, but I don't know what you've done about that, because you can file your survey as a legal survey. Then they have a certain amount of statutory time to challenge that with their own competing survey. Surveys are simply opinions, but that this legal survey process will give you a definitive line. You're allowed to have a hearing with a judge who will pick the proper survey, and then you will put up your fence. But at the end of the day, the only reason this council's involved is because you have what is inherently a dangerous situation, and it needs to be removed. So
even when the situation to get the rebar that has come about, that has resulted in rebar, is not what we are concerned with as a council. At the end of the day, we're concerned with the rebar being there. If it was a hole in the ground, it was a hole in the ground, right? So it could be any unsafe thing. So, as Mr. Dante said, civil dispute that we had nothing to do with.
100%.
Our 100, what we're asking, okay, is that we do something beyond pool noodles to make it more safe.
Anything else, Counselor?
We need to make a motion to have them
We had a
removed.
motion to remove the,
Well, you have a
Yeah.
process by which you notify people of a nuisance. I know Kevin and I spoke today
okay,
about attempting to resolve it without giving official notice. I think they're on notice now, at least verbally, that you don't want the rebar there, and that the surveyor stake should be sufficient to mark the property line until they can resolve the dispute in front of a court if they need to. If they need to be notified in writing, you guys have a process by which you do that, and the town marshal will serve it, and they will have the ability to appeal it, and you guys can then make a decision about removing it and attributing the cost to the property.
As a recommendation, those snow stakes, those big, long, orange, thin ones would be,
Perfect. Thank you. We'll go back to those. You
Our-
tried them once.
the neighboring property was surveyed for a build. They had flags. Our 2-year-old and 4-year-old decided to pick the flags up and wave it around and bring it to our front yard. And then we quickly knew, hey, that's not,
So survey states, just read them.
so I would suggest not flagged.
Thanks, Justin, for.
Thank you.
all right. Let's move along to public dialogue. Public hearing, ordinance 2025-011. Ordinance for 2026 appropriations and tax rates. Ms. Hyman?
Do you want to open the public hearing?
Yes,
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Mr. Shardy makes the motion to open the public hearing at 6:45, seconded by Ms. Monroe.
So as required by the state of Indiana, we have to have a public hearing regarding the 2026 budget. I've got printouts up here. I'm happy to pass them out if anybody wants them. We'll share it. Let's see. So on the long sheet right here, it shows the estimated incomes and the estimated expenses for the budgeted funds. The general fund, we're estimating a total income of $2,748,814. And that is a combination of property taxes at $1.474 million. And that is at the maximum levy that we're allowed. The county income tax, which is local income tax out of payroll, is $615,286, and then other taxes would be $37,454. And then other fees, that includes things like the fire contract that we have with the township, and the EMS fees, and then golf carts, a couple of other items that we collect funds for. We also are seeing an increase in the tax credits, which is a credit that our homeowners see on their property tax. So that's taken off of what we would collect on property taxes, and that's significantly increased due to Senate Enrolled Act 1. So we will be realizing about $48,878 less in property taxes than is what is listed above. On the expenses below, we are budgeting about $3,175,377 out of the general fund. That covers the clerk budget, police, fire, EMS, and the street. Other departments are separate, but as I tell the council when we're working through the budgets, that I try to budget lower on income and higher on expenses because we have to have permission to spend. It doesn't mean that we're going to spend all that money. This year, I don't think that we will end up spending what we budgeted. So hopefully we'll come in with a little bit of budget surplus in preparation for changes that are coming down in the next couple of years. So right now that puts us at about a deficit of 426,563. And that, but we do have a healthy general fund that can support that. And hopefully at the end of the day, we won't realize that deficit. The park fund, we're looking at $50,000 in property taxes, about $1,091 in other taxes, and then $321,000 in other collections. Those would be things like the pier rentals, admissions, concessions down at the park, building rentals, that type of thing. And then again, the tax credits, it's proportional to what they're collecting. So on $50,000, they are actually losing about $1,558. The park fund, we're budgeting $405,900. And so there's a deficit of about $35,367. We're working on shaving some of those things down. And I think Crystal's also going to work at actually increasing the income for the park. I know she's got a lot of ideas as far as programming and that type of thing. So hopefully at the end of the day, we'll end up collecting much more due to programming and rentals than we're projecting. The MVH fund, which is motor vehicle highway, and that we use mainly for resurfacing and other street projects that we collect 47,000, or we anticipate collecting 47,454. These are figures that the state has provided to me. And so basically what we do is turn around and we just budget that amount for paving, but we're also paying off a street sweeper. So there's an additional $30,000 for that street sweeper payment. And same thing with local road and street, 17,478 is what we anticipate coming in. We'll probably spend $17,070. And on the CCD, that has its own tax rate, and which I believe is 0.04 cents per $100 of assessed value. So we anticipate collecting about $118,603. And then there are other taxes associated with that that we would collect based on that tax rate. So we should get another $2,584, but we'll end up losing about $3,695 to the property tax credits. But we have budgeted $100,000 out of that cumulative capital development fund. Riverboat is taxes that we realize from riverboat gaming. And since we don't have a boat in our area, we don't get a whole lot of money, but it's there. And the council has committed $11,200 to a variety of charitable types of activities. The grants, will hopefully maybe not have a whole lot of grants this upcoming year. I don't know. But usually the police department will participate in Operation Pullover. They haven't done it in the last couple of years, but I just put in $3,000. So if it's spent, I'm covered. But that's money that comes in and goes out. The ARPA funding, hopefully we won't have any money left at the end of this year. And I think after a bill that I saw today, we won't. But just in case, to cover me, I budgeted $17,305. I'll probably get denied on that one, but hopefully by that money will be gone and it won't matter. Opioid unrestricted and opioid restricted money, those are from the opioid settlements set aside by this, that the state is collecting and then passing on to us. The unrestricted, we're allowed to spend that any way we want to. The restricted funds have to go to certain programming to prevent opioid addiction, support, recovery. And in the past, the council has committed those funds to Marshall County Hope. And I do have a question once we get to my report on that further contribution and commitment. But basically, those are the funds that are coming in, and I just budgeted that same amount. Actually, I take that back. Those are the funds coming in. I'm budgeting the amount going out because funds were not spent from last year's collection. So I budgeted last year's plus what we anticipate to get next year for next year. Finally, unsafe building, we have $57,000 approximately in that fund. So I'm budgeting it so that it's available if we need to use it. And finally, the GEO bond debt service, that's $144,698. And other taxes are $3,407. That basically goes to pay the general obligation bond that we have for the water project that we are working on and the meters. And that was approved last year. And that covers our two payments that are due in July and December, or January and July. So also attached are specific spending, and I don't know if you want me to go into detail, but if you do have questions on that, I'm happy to respond to those. Yes.
I do have just one question. I was at the CRC meeting last week and, they do the same thing, budget and talk about it. If they come here and say, we're gonna do X and we're gonna commit $25,000, but we want the city to match it with 25, does that come out of the general fund or where does that come from?
It kind of would depend on the project.
Okay.
I don't know what specific, was there something specific they were talking about, or this is just kind of a hypothetical
Hypothetical.
type of thing?
And it comes to mind because they're building the house over the
Water.
water
The
well.
building.
Oh.
The building and trades.
Yeah.
And you talked about, and I visited the site today and they're doing an awesome job.
Mhm.
And it's kids that are second chance kids, so it's
Right.
awesome.
Yeah.
So where
So,
does that money, like if that guy came here and said, I'd like another 10,000 to do a nice patio out there, do you determine that or does the council determine where that money comes from?
well, it would probably take it to the council. It would depend on what the use is. If it was something specific to the water department, it would probably come out of the water fund.
Okay.
Or if it was specific to the sewer, it would probably come out of the sewer. Anything else, like if it's, like I said earlier, like the clerk budget, the police, fire, EMS, street, those all come out of the general fund. So we might take a look at what's available in the general fund. Ideally, we set this budget and we stick to it, and try not to go above it. If we do end up going above, then we have to go through a whole additional appropriations process, bring it back to the taxpayers. At the end of the day, I would make recommendations to the council, but the council is the final approval, just as you're saying with the budget. I've made the recommendations, they're the approving body, so you have that check and balance.
So they seem to have a lot of money. They started out the year with $1.2 million. They raised 587 and they spent 237.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to go to them and ask for money?
So the redevelopment has their own,
Right,
basically their own entity appointed by the council.
got it.
So they are an arm. So yes, we could, like, if the council was, like, we're most likely are going to do that shortly with the sewer
We did it
project.
also with the water
Yeah.
plant. So the water plant bids came in higher than we anticipated budget-wise. So there was a gap of so much money. So they changed the scope of the project, like getting the kids to do the building, say, cut off, 50, 60,000. But then the CRC said, okay, we'll kick in some funds because we can pay for things that are utilities or roads or infrastructure. So we kind of covered that gap so that the town doesn't have to go through an appropriation or take it out of general. Our general fund is pretty healthy where they could have just said, okay, we'll grab it from here. But because that is a great project for CRC because it's contributing directly to utilities, they came to us and said, can we cover this gap with CRC funds? And so long as the other map, like another example was when we did the trail projects with Stellar, the CRC made the matches on those. So the grant paid for 80% of a trail, for example. CRC was that 20% match. So the town didn't have to fund any of the trail. The CRC was funding that. But the state, basically NDOT and the Okra Stellar, through Stellar, they were paying 80% of the cost of those trails. But you still have to have that match money, and redevelopment stepped in to do the matches. I think in Plymouth, it's similar. They stepped in and did their Stellar matches as well. Their
If they
redevelopment.
wouldn't have been able to match, would you have been able to match as a council?
Yes.
And I'm asking for a
Yes.
specific reason.
Yes.
Here's the reason. Let's say, and you just brought it up, we saved $60,000 as a city by going to the building and trades. It seems fair because that's a program that has trouble funding, that someone could come before the CRC or the council and say, hey, we just saved $60,000. Can we throw $12,500 in addition to their bid so that they can continue to do great things in this town? Can an individual do that? Or can you do that to the CRC? Or can that guy in the building trades come here and say, hey, you know what?
CRC basically can only pay for a project rather than for publications, printing, advertising for a nonprofit. We can't.
We can't do operations. in other
Yeah, we
words.
can't do
Okay.
operations.
Like a salary for that guy.
Yeah.
We can help pay for a project, even at the school. We can, like, we've done facade programs with the school where the school comes to the CRC and says, we'd really love to get a $50,000 contribution to this specific school project. And you can support, we've supported even STEM type of programming at the school. And then CRC, I believe, did the match on the Stellar School project, which is kind of that park where the soccer fields are. We funded that project, which was upgrading an asset in the community. If you can support things that are community-wide benefit and safety, health, emergency, but it's also economic development, so roads, infrastructure, utilities, that sort of thing. Visitor center, we can't pay the salary of that director who runs it, but we can pay for ads or, banners, and that sort of thing.
And the CRC can do the same, right? They can, if you wanted all the banners.
That is the
downtown,
She was
CRC.
talking
Yes.
Just
I
a
am
member of
talking
the
CRC.
So the new signs that say shop downtown.
Those are CRC purchases.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
And the brackets that they're gonna go on.
Yeah. It benefits the businesses that are in our TIF districts. Anything that benefits businesses, pretty much support. Like those banner signs that connect one business district to another.
Okay. Does that include the buildings downtown that are owned by the academy? Or is it only individually owned properties?
It's anything within that TIF, really. So a facade within that TIF can be fixed up. A lot of what we have supported is facade money, but those kind of prettier lights that go through town that connect uptown to downtown. That was a CRC project probably 15 years ago, I want to say. And those crosswalks down Main Street, that was them. In fact, that was a Main Street grant. That was one of the first grants I think I worked on in town council. And the CRC made the match, and then they did the lights as like a supplemental project to that.
Mr. President, I move to close the public hearing.
Mr. Croy, one question. Anybody online for the public hearing?
Did I answer your question?
You did very well.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. I just want to make sure that
Yeah.
this is the public's opportunity to
Yeah, well,
participate.
and they're
ask
closing
questions.
it.
And I realize,
If I had something to say, I feel like that was done purposely is what I'm
Well,
gonna say to you.
All right, we have a motion.
I think you do a great job.
well, I just wanted to make sure some of it was getting off topic, that we could, you're welcome to come in and
Okay.
ask questions,
Sure.
and I will try to answer them. But, it's outside of the actual budget that we're doing. So,
I have a motion on the floor to close the public hearing by Mr. Croy. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Neer. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I have 7:00. Is there anything else we need to do with that, Karen?
not at this time.
Pardon?
Not at this time.
Okay,
It's on the agenda for, first reading.
okay. Moving along, new business. We have a couple of proclamations. Okay, first proclamation to designate the.
Go ahead, Bill, sorry. Later.
Proclamation to designate October 5th to 11th, 2025 as Fire Prevention Week. Whereas the Culver Union Township Volunteer Fire Department is committed to ensuring safety and security of all those living in and visiting Culver and Union Township. Whereas fire is a serious public safety concern, both locally and nationally, and homes are in a location where people are at great risk from fire. And whereas smoke alarms sense smoke well before a human can, alerting residents to the danger of a fire. Whereas residents should install and regularly test smoke alarms in every sleeping room, outside each separate sleeping area, and in every level of the home, and ensure the smoke alarms meet the needs of all family members, as well as do escape plan and practices. Whereas the Culver Union Township Volunteer Fire Department is dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education. Now therefore, I, William Clevenger, Town Council President of the Town of Culver, State of Indiana, do hereby recognize October 5th and October through 11th of 2025 as Fire Prevention Week. Urge all Culver residents to make sure their homes have working smoking alarms and to extend the appreciation to the Culver Union Township Volunteer Fire Department and all emergency service personnel for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the community they serve. Witness my hand seal for the Town of Culver, Indiana, 25th day of September, 2025. Next, we have a proclamation to designate October 5th to October 11th, 2025 as Water, Wastewater, Stormwater Professionals Week. Whereas water is the most valuable and virtual natural resource, and the Town of Culver is committed to providing access to clean water and ensuring the health, safety of all those living and visiting in Culver. And whereas water, wastewater, stormwater professionals work to plan for the future, maintain and upgrade their systems, and improve the safety and resilience of the local water supplies for the community. And whereas essential water, wastewater, stormwater professionals dedicate their careers to keeping drinking water, recycled water, and treated wastewater safe and reliable for the use of Culver residents. Whereas many residents are unaware of the critical role these professionals play in our public health response and the critical role they play in providing and treating and managing water, wastewater, and water runoff. Now, therefore, I, William Clevenger, Town Council President of the Town of Culver, State of Indiana, do hereby recognize the week of October 5th to October 11th, 2025 as Water, Wastewater, Stormwater Professionals Week, and urge all Culver residents to recognize these professionals for their dedicated service to the residents of Culver. Wear this my hand and seal the Town of Culver, 25th day of September, 2025. Those are the two proclamations. Next is the first reading of Ordinance 2025-011, Ordinance for 2026 Appropriation and Tax Rates.
Mr. Clevenger, as we discussed earlier in the public hearing, this ordinance determines the tax rates for the town of Culver as well as the budgets. And so I would just ask that you would do first reading. We'll do second and third and final adoption at the next meeting.
Okay,
I'll make the motion to pass ordinance 2025-011, appropriation and tax rates for 2026 on first read.
on first read, okay, is there a second?
A second.
A second by Mr. Nuer. All those in favor for first read, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Next is first read of ordinance 2025-012, an ordinance amending and restating ordinance 2022-005, restating and establishing parking regulations in the town of Culver, Indiana. And I won't read through that. It's rather lengthy.
Would you like a summary, Mr. President?
Yes,
I have it by heart.
Mr. Bennett.
What we'll be doing, thank you. What we'll be doing is creating several new no parking signs, as previously mentioned during public address. One of them is Harding Court. We will be taking and making the west side of that street headed towards the dead end north off of Lakeshore, no parking. Also down here from Lakeshore heading south to Washington Street, both Coolidge Street as well as Lakeview Street, we'll be designating no parking according to the Indiana, this manual of uniform traffic control. We'll use that as our guidance and compliancy within the no parking zone. So there'll be no parking on both sides of the road according to the standards set forth by that manual. The next one will be on, excuse me, Marmount Street, and no parking shall be defined in a similar fashion between Main Street heading westward to Ohio Street. We'll also use the manual of standards to determine where the no parking is designated on that area. Upon approval, we'll be painting those spots and designating those and enforcing them with our traffic code.
Hey Kevin, just FYI,
Yes.
Harding Court was east side, not west side.
Harding Court was east side, not west side, and I said,
West.
I did indeed. Thank you
It's
very
right.
much. East side of Harding Court. Thank you very much.
Could you repeat those again, Kevin, please?
Absolutely. Yeah, no problem. I'll read them specifically to it. Harding Court, the east side, Jenny corrected me, the east side of Harding Court heading north will be designated as no parking. There's about a block there where it dead ends that alley.
Is that the sign and the curb painting?
Yes, it
Okay.
will be there.
Okay.
Coolidge Street will be no parking designated by the Indiana manual, which has already been painted and enforced.
And that's both sides.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
These are both sides. Lakeview will be no parking designated by the manual of uniform traffic control on both sides of the road, going from Lakeshore Drive, extending south to Washington Street, right here. And then Marmount Street over from Main, heading west to Ohio Street will also be designated on both sides.
And do you set the fines for that? Who
The-
sets the fines?
The council has already pre-established the no parking, the fines with it, and those are establishable, no changes to those.
We're basically just amending that same ordinance to include these areas.
And that's within the 2022-005 ordinance.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're more welcome.
So
Any more that you're, yeah.
Oh, yeah, there is. Excuse me. I was getting to the no parking. We're also going to designate 2 accessible parking spots on the north side of Washington Street, west of North Plymouth Street, right out here by the VFW, as well as one on Washington Street here, or Plymouth Street, excuse me, right off of Washington near the accessible handicap ramp on the VFW. These were requested by the post themselves to additional, they have quite a few customers that need this accessible parking, and they requested these spots, and we're happy to ask the council for those. So we would be establishing 3 new accessible parking spots for the VFW.
I've parked there before because it's not handicap parking and felt bad that why am I parking this close to the ramp? Like this should be, it's just kind of like,
I'll have to back up a little bit when I park, but that's fine.
I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
So Lakeview
Yes, sir.
South, basically, off of
Yes.
Lakeshore Drive is becoming no parking on either side.
Both sides, but there will be parking. We're going to use the manual to determine, there's so many, when I say the manual, you have so many feet back from an intersection, so many feet from a driveway, from a fire hydrant. So we're going to be establishing those based upon those required. You're probably going to be looking at 3 or 4 spots left. I can't say for sure, but Bob will handle that when we outline it and paint it.
Are we, this might be a question for you, are we obligated to abide by the manual?
No. I think it's a good guide, but I think what Kevin's saying is that it gives you some preset, well thought out reasons to where not to have parking. But no, you're in control of your own streets.
And to that question, it's a fair question. I think one of the hardest parts about this is remaining consistent, because you open yourself up to criticism or levy charges if it's arbitrarily done. So using a standard like this to be consistent, it ensures objectivity and fairness in establishing.
They do study their standards too and update them every year, and they come out at conferences with, whatever the latest updates are to those. I've been to one of those in the past. And it is probably the only guide in Indiana outside of local municipal guides, which most of us don't even have. So like if you're doing a big construction project or a big housing development, oftentimes you'll cite that in the development agreement, that particular manual, because otherwise, what are you citing?
And a lot of times, and I don't know, I'm speculating, if you've accepted federal dollars or state dollars, you may have already agreed to abide by those standards.
I'm just worried, like, if we went there right now, we all got in a bus and took a trip to Lakeview. I bet there's more than 4 parking spaces occupied on an everyday basis.
There are.
You know what I mean?
Isn't there at least one, I am sorry to interrupt, but isn't there at least one house in that Lakeview going south that doesn't, at least one for sure, doesn't have any parking driveway or anything available to them?
That's a fair point, and I think that's something that will have to be considered as we move forward. The standard as it's been brought up, we're trying to follow that standard, but obviously if there are considerations, they can always make the appeal to the council directly in terms of the parking. And I know along Main Street, there's some there's always issues about parking that we need to be mindful of, right? So not saying we'll blindly follow this, but in essence, that's the standard that's going to be used to establish it. And if there are exceptions or considerations, I think they have to bring it before the council for consideration.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that question of you, Kevin. Like, I know on Washington, there's one house on Washington, we're now one way on Washington and you can't park on one side of it, the south side.
Right.
On the north side, there's one home that sits literally right here next to our ambulance bay that doesn't have a driveway or a
Right.
garage.
Right.
So there's also like no parking for the ambulances to get out on the street running north and south. And as you run east and west, and it wouldn't be too much a big deal because the other houses along Washington have their own driveways. But we get a lot of cars that park on Washington on the side you're allowed to park on because of overflow from those condos down there. And then there's one neighbor, he just happens to have a lot of vehicles, so he usually has a boat or something there. Allowed to designate one spot along there for that homeowner?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Because
that's,
we could do that on Lakeview, I would assume, if we've got one of those. It seems
You
only
see
fair to
resident-
that.
You see a lot of resident parking ordinances in popular towns, much like your town. If you go up to Michigan and South Haven and those towns, you'll see a lot of resident parking lots that it's just for the resident of that house. To give those people at least a spot or two.
Yeah, because I, like Lake Fest weekend and stuff, I don't know how some people get into their homes. 'cause
Even the Lake Fest
Yeah,
parade, where we
cool.
push everybody off
Yes.
of the main street. Every street between here and, downtown is all the way up and down. And that's actually what crossed my mind with this was, like, if we only got 4 parking spots left, in a normal day, there's more than 4.
and a couple of the property owners from Lakeview are where the actual request because of the traffic and the volume that you're getting. But absolutely, if there is an exception, we could make a designated spot for a house. That way they don't lose their spot to public parking too, right?
Yeah.
That's something that could be established by the council.
Yeah,
right?
while you guys are taking a look at that corner house right there. It hasn't, the previous owner wasn't here a lot, so it wasn't as big a deal for him, I don't think. But the current owners, I think, are here more often, and I can see them having troubles with it.
Similar ordinance.
Just to do an amendment within the.
Each house. The resident parking.
Yeah, I know we did an ADA designated for a couple of houses over the years. Where, someone needed to get out of their wheelchair in front of their house on the
Sure.
road.
I'm kind of interested to see where the lot will fall on this one, see where the no parking is, and then if there's an accommodation, then we need to make it. We'll do an amendment to it. And
Can we,
appreciate the
like,
suggestion.
sorry, Kevin.
Yeah.
Can we basically approve it once we figure out what it is? So if we see it and let's say that on a specific, and it could be a handful of these streets, it becomes no parking on one side, where maybe we feel that there's clearly enough room. Is it in the ordinance that we have to approve what they have done? Or are we just giving them free rein to say, hey, go figure out using these standards in these streets and rearrange the parking? Is that
That's why I want them to be able to determine based upon the manual where the no parking would be. And that way we understand where it's at. And I would be happy to bring it back for consideration. If there is a homeowner that does have an issue, we can always amend it. I don't want to paint until we get it solidified. So I would like to know where they're going to be marked out at, because that paint, though it does flake off, we want to do it once. So what we're going to do is we'll take a look at Lakeview really quick and I'll about review it. If you would like, I can table this. And I can review it.
Well, you can always amend it, or you can amend it later, or you can go do it and then come back. And you could, I don't know what kind of access you have to mapping, but you could even attach an exhibit A or whatever. It could always be subsequently amended.
Yeah, we're gonna
Exhibit
amend
A.
that second, read.
And sounds good. So I put the ordinance back out and for consideration on first read, and then with the council's directive, I'll take Bob and we'll establish where those spots are going to be, see where the conflicts are. And I'll put an amendment on the second read if we need to. That way,
I guess just be clear what I'm saying is, rather than keep redoing your parking ordinance, you could redo your map every year and you just adopt the parking map to the ordinance, which is gonna say we can enforce our, because you need it in writing to enforce it.
Yeah.
To enforce our, you have one parking ordinance, and then we just update and you could have even.
We'll do a GIS mapping.
Something like that.
Yeah, we'll do a GIS mapping of the park. That's a good idea.
Great idea.
Can I ask a quick question? Or not taking comment?
Go ahead.
Greg Cheseldine, 520 South Plymouth. On Sundays, I know that churches have a big parking issue. Is that something that's just sort of we're dealing with, or is there, I mean, but by enforcing it, I think you'd be towing a lot of parishioners, but I think it's a concern in some areas.
Here, I think Chad does a very good job, and he has for like, in Wayne too, even for the last 30 years of using great discretion when it comes to, I mean, we had a situation, a guy, handicap sticker, parked illegally at Lake Fest, and I said something to Chad, and Chad goes, get a handicap placard in their window. We're not trying to be on anybody's, so.
Specifically College Avenue.
Yeah.
Up around the Catholic Church is parking. I know there's a lot, they don't have a lot of designated no parking there. So it's less of an issue because a lot of it have the parking lots other than that. But yeah, that's something we can.
The one on South Main, Heart Fire Church or Church of the Lake.
Yes, sir.
That one, they blow the ordinance right out of the water every Sunday. And it's dangerous. If something were to happen, there's no way to get an ambulance or fire truck down there. Even on a PISPO in some places, you couldn't get through.
It's an issue.
So, Mr. Dante, do you
Yes,
want to go ahead and have us pass this on first read?
I would like to pass on the first read following the recommendation of creating a map, but on this one, and then I will get with Mr. Porter. We'll take a look specifically at Lakeview. I think that's what.
Mr. Croy, was that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Croy moves to approve ordinance 2025-012 on first read. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Monroe. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay,
Very good.
thank you. Board and commission reports.
We don't look more to our sound like Steve Gorski, but he did provide me his report, so I'll read it. The building commissioner report for August 2025 presented September 2025. August 2025 building permits applied for 9. There were 22 in July. Total fees collected for building permits, fence, roof, and electrical permits and BZA plan commission application. We received $2,410 for August and $2,801 in July. The zoning ordinance update, the building commissioner presented revisions and updates to the plan commission at the August meeting. There was discussion, and this is progressing nicely. Unsafe structures, 444 South Ohio House. The family is working with the building commissioner and has begun cleaning the property and the house. 220 Clover Garage, that is pending information from the owner. And 210 South Slate Street Garage is pending owner states. They are making application for a building permit. The TRC, there was one case heard in August. The Plan Commission, August Plan Commission meeting had no cases and discussed the zoning ordinance revisions. And the BZA did not have a July or August meeting due to no cases. That was submitted by the Speed Building Commission.
Thank you. Now, redevelopment commission.
Other than working on the budget plan.
John, anything, tree commission?
Yeah, I got a couple of things. First of all, I want to publicly thank the street department and Bob Porter staff for putting together kind of a neat piece of equipment for me to water young trees. It's a 100 gallon tanker and on a trailer with a gator. The only problem is I only get about 8 trees. Then I got to go back and fill it up and go back out of the street. It serves the purpose, but it'd be nice to get a bigger unit, but then you need a bigger gate. One thing leads to another.
Thank you for doing that, John.
You're gonna die if somebody got it. I've had a couple of days where people would help me. They've been really good.
Nice.
Helping these units. Now if that's coming, any update and answer.
Spoke with them today, John, just for you. Fortuitous. Stephanie and Emerson both had a meeting. There were some computer issues with Emerson getting the data to Davies. and getting it completed. So Stephanie and I met with her. She was having access to the lab problem down at IU. So what is going to happen is right now, we're going to push the date back off of the October date. That way we get the species and the mapping correct. This is what was said to me today. I wasn't part of the conversation, I was told. So it was a one-way conversation. The date is now 11/8 for the planting. They're going to adjust with Davies and get everything cleared. That's on them to take care of it. They should have I've asked at the very least by October 15th to have the tree species and the map in your hands. I mentioned that you were concerned and so was I, and Emerson wanted to extend her apologies for not communicating. Having said that, I think we'll have better communication moving forward. Stephanie's involved and things seemed really positive day on the meeting. And Emerson thought she could probably have it done by next week and have it in our hands. So we'll go with that. The tentative date is 11/8. The rain date will be 11/15 at the latest. Davies doesn't think there'll be a problem with that, and we should be good to go. I've also mentioned something to the school today about coordinating with the kids and getting the planning going. So that's where we're at.
Right, and just a follow-up on that, this goes back to July. You said it was supposed to have the mapping and everything too.
I agree. And both of us have been talking about it.
We've got inventory here. Davy's got 360 trees that they sent us, and most of them don't even fit our area.
Right.
That's why we wanted to get together with our people, to put the right trees in the right places, which I and Dennis have already mapped out for.
Yep.
So to say the least, I kind of felt like I can't see the forest through the trees.
Yeah.
It's been about 3 months.
I hear you.
So we need that mapping, and we need to get this stuff done.
Right.
And I'm getting tired of waiting for it.
Okay.
Period.
Great.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
Hey, John, is there anything we can do as a community to help you out?
Well, there was going to be a community planting, and that's what he's talking about. It was supposed to be October 10th, I think it was, or 11th.
October 10th was the date.
That's going to move back to November.
We're moving it back to November now.
So we need 20, 25 people to help plant the ones that we're going to get. So on that, I appreciate it.
Davies does most of the planning of the 100. And this is coordinated through the IU resiliency program. So I'm a communicator in this process, back and forth. And so John and I both since July have been trying to get the mapping, and we've both been in communication. I lost contact, to be frank with you. When Emerson left in August, that was the last. I've sent 4 emails, and today I had to get Stephanie involved to sit down, and we had a conversation online. So I made it clear that we need to have that mapping done by October 15th. And I also, once again, communicated your, I guess, for lack of a better word, frustration of not having that map in your hands.
One other thing too, if you, I know you're busy and you got a lot on your plate.
We can do it.
What
do you got, John?
Talking about an arborist,
Yes, sir.
you were going to get some quotes. on
We
it.
still are. Yes. Yep.
Is the program, is Emerson an intern who's also a student, I
Yes.
assume?
She's a
Okay.
master's student in environmental science. So
Yeah.
when she left back to go to IU back in the summer, I lost a lot of contact, and I'm kind of bound by my falling short of driving to Bloomington, Indiana and doing a person search.
That's the tricky
I
part
put in-
of the.
And unfortunately, they have an advisor, and I reached out to the advisors, Stephanie, finally to get involved. So
Well, another thing, we've given parts of our budget, them and the street. department.
That's correct.
But we don't use it. So we need more information that we can, about what we're going to do. It's like, we need it. One thing, we maybe even get different species in some other areas.
exactly.
Maybe
So-
we won't let you lose it. John.
We're
Yes,
we're
always-
hoping to,
We
You
lost
always
last year.
use your money very well, so.
Tom,
Yes, sir.
report.
That's a good time. Town of Culver, I got 3 special event permits to read off tonight, starting with Culver Fall Fest, estimated 500 guests. Main Street between Madison and Washington. There will be some street closure between East, West Jefferson Street and North and South Lakeshore Drive. It'll be barricaded. The businesses have been contacted according to the call for Fall Fest. They'll have music, all types of good stuff, beer garden, pumpkin painting, The affected businesses are Lucretia, Cafe Mac, Culver, Huron, but Huron, Surf Brothers, and the Garden of Elizabeth, and 3 Bird Lane Civvies. There will be signage out. Alcohol will be served. Police Chief Beckers has signed off on this. They anticipate using amplified equipment. The EMS is on call, so all due diligence has been done. Additional trash cans will be placed on Main Street, and I ask for approval with the attached map.
Motion to approve.
Mr. Monroe moves to approve the Fall Fest application. The second.
Mr. Neer, he's got beat me to it.
Go ahead.
A lot more seconds to go.
You pick, Bill, whichever one. We both seconded.
Well, I'll defer to you, Mr. Croy,
Okay.
as a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. 9/27/25 from 8 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. The Knights of Columbus Candy Drive is off. There'll be a number of people participating in it. The location is State Road 17 and State Road 10, North Lakeshore and Academy Drive, and Main Street and Jefferson Street, the haunts. St. Mary's of the Lake Catholic Church and the Knights of Columbus will be putting it on. Local Knights of Columbus will collect the donations. There should be no closures. There will be no alcohol served. High visibility vests on the team members for safety reasons. Do they anticipate any sound equipment? No. And that is it. I have full signatures.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, nothing against these guys here. Was that going to pose any type of risk with our current construction
That
project?
was gonna be my question too. like-
Yeah, on 9/27. On 9/27, I've made them advised of it, that won't be the ideal location for it. They still will pick up Academy Shore and Lake they still think they can get Academy Drive and Lake Shore traffic, even though it's going off back to the west on Academy. They still,
They
but-
could stand at that stop sign. and-
I suggested School Street and Academy. I'll work.
I grew up in, and
100%.
there's a ton of cars going through that neighborhood right now. You might just tell them they'll catch all of them there.
I think that, and I mentioned that School Street and the Academy, because that's where everything is hubbing through. And so I'll give them a call with the approval and let them know that it was suggested
They
again.
did School Street, Academy, and Fleet, and West Terrace. They'd catch every car.
I think they
Which
would.
way.
Do we want to allow them is
I was
my
gonna
question.
say,
Do we want to
at
allow them
Lake
to
Shore and
be there?
Academy, I wouldn't, because I go to my mom's in that neighborhood, that's the detour, and when I'm coming home off of Academy Road through the intersection of Lake Shore, you kind of have to go around the closed road.
Yep.
So the guy on the other side has to be a little further back. And I just sit there flashing my lights till they all go, because I'm a terrible driver anyway. So I just wait till they've all passed through and I'm waving them on. So I lean toward Justin and ask them not to stand at that particular.
I'm good with telling them School Street and Academy. If we can be specific about a location you would like them at. They submitted this a while back, so
Either one of those would be a good alternative.
I'm reading
I
as
think.
is.
Mine isn't, just for the record, and so the Knights of Columbus knows as well. Mine, I guess, is more of a question to the council rather than my own personal. I don't want to cause a bigger traffic problem, have somebody get hurt
Yeah.
while we're already trying to. I mean, I have avoided that area since we started construction.
I don't even know where they'd stand, to be honest.
I don't either.
Because
And,
you
and
would risk yourself being in.
it is, it's a problem, and we're having traffic issues down there anyway, keeping traffic moving the right way. So with the amendment of School Street and Academy, I'd like to be able to propose a specific amendment to them. Will we consider the approval of the permit?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll motion to approve with an amended location for Academy and Lake Shore.
Mr. Monroe moves to make the amendment for Academy.
Actually, Mrs. Hine brought up a good point. School Street doesn't have a four-way stop, so they may not be the most ideal situation right there.
What about the intersection of Lake Shore and School at the bottom of the hill?
Street in Jefferson.
Yeah. How about we remove and just have it
Yeah,
one
and
area?
if they'd like to be in Fleet and North Terrace, there is a safe way to do it there.
Okay,
Okay.
let's do the.
So I'll
just with the
amend
amendment.
my motion to approve based on just not having someone at Academy Lakeshore and you working out an alternative plan for them.
Yeah, and I'll be sure to report back into council about it.
Ms. Monroe moves. I won't repeat it all.
Second it.
Mr. Attorney, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Thank you for the recommendation, council. Last but not least, 9/29, 6 to 8 p.m. Monday, we have a party with the St. Mary of the Lake at the church, at the parish, St. Mary of the Lake at the location. Father Felicia, Stephen Felicia, the pastor, will be running it. It's a bonfire around the church. Request to block off Lewis Street from 6 to 8 for our out-of-door party, that little section right behind the Catholic Church. There's only 2 blocks of it. Parishioners will clean up. They'll have parishioners who are medical and fire personnel that are there. No sound equipment, and that's the additional request, and everything's been signed off by the departments. I think we're good.
What's the date again, Kevin?
It's 9/29/25.
Mr. Muir moves to approve, second by Mr. Shardy. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, council. Appreciate it. Next on the list, I have a request from Mr. Porter for Peerless Midwest. It is for well C, new pumping equipment and water testing. It's with Peerless, add a 12-inch steel casing. It's everything that's necessary for the completion of that well that is being installed. Flow test as well as new pressure test, measure static water levels. We'll be abandoning a 6-inch PVC test well. The total amount is for $58,230. This is what Ms. Heim was referring to. Karen was referring to the $16,000. I think that was left in the ARPA funds will go towards this, and that should complete our ARPA funds, and then the remaining balance, Karen said, will be taken from that fund. So I ask for approval.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Monroe to approve,
Second.
second by Mr. Croy. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Good.
Couple updates. Number one, spoke with Ashland Merchant today. We are getting ready for the documentary demo coming out. It is going to air on Fox Business Network, the commercial portion of it. They're also coordinating the PBS or the public portion of it, and that should be coming out in November and start running. It will run. They're going to give me a 24 to 48 hour notice of its airing. So try a little short notice, but try to get that out there. But it's going to be out on regional schedules in November and start running for that year. So good update. And things went really well with them. And hopefully I'll have a conversation with them next week. John, we've already spoken, but had a meeting about the IU resiliency in the trees. I've been reassured that we will get them. And I know there's been some frustration, and today there was a lot of apologies, but I just need results. And so I'll have an update for you in October, second week by then. And
I'll put together another meeting for October.
I think we need to get the tree commission together. The other thing that John met that for an update is that I'll be reaching out to the high school, the elementary school, to get volunteers for the planting. The way that Stephanie described, I think there's about 20 to 25 kind of ceremonial plants that go on, and then the rest will be done by Davies. And so we're good with that, and I think we're good. Let me know, let's talk individually about the tree species and see what we can get done. I wasn't aware that they had already provided you something with that, and let's coordinate on that. Okay, appreciate it. Thank you. Also, in front of me, have a petition for a disannexation that was sent to me by Steve Gorski today by email. This disannexation would involve Culver Investment Corporation. It's the corner property that was annexed originally by the town that was supposed to be the Bestie development on 17 and 10. For that acreage, he is now petitioning or beginning the petitioning for the disannexation. The council will be approached eventually. They're starting the process right now legally. He spoke with his lawyers. He came into the TRC meeting this week. The intent is to divide that property into 3 separate lots. One of the issues that I raised concerning that separation into 3 lots was that there's an initial economic agreement that governs the original lot. And with the annexation, what would our position be with the new property owners considering that there would be new lot numbers, or at least new parcel numbers, and new relationship with an annexed piece of property. The recommendation was made to him, maybe disannexation of the properties would be a way of facilitating lot adjustment or the parcel division into a subdivision. And he was agreeable and decided he wanted to pursue it. I'll update the council as we move forward, but I just wanted to make you aware that that's going on in the background.
Quick question, we annexed this into the town
We did.
and now they want to go back to the county?
Well, they want to disannex it from the town, and yes, it would, actually, it would still fall under our zoning jurisdiction in our 2-mile radius, but it would fall back outside of corporate.
Just as I believe he initially got his permit denied from the county when he requested this about a month ago, just for the council's information.
I'm also wondering, how would that benefit the town to disannex?
Well, I think there's a dispute going on over it was annexed pursuant to an agreement whereby the developer or the owner was going to extend utilities and things like that, at their expense, which has never come to fruition. So I think he's stuck with a property that he doesn't have the money to put I don't know what his financial situation is, I'm speculating, or he doesn't want to put that money into it for some reason. I think Kevin can probably speak. I don't know.
That's, in essence, my concern is this, if he was able to subdivide this property into 3 parcels and create new parcel numbers, and sell those parcels, what would the town's commitment be in terms of providing utilities? Because the only thing binding him to providing the utilities to this annexed property and the annexation itself was the economic development agreement, which I worry and concern legally what the position would be for the town in terms of cost of providing those utilities.
This is a way of making it clear, there's no commitment on the part of the town.
Yeah.
You're de-annexing, but the town is no longer involved with an agreement with you.
Obviously, millions of dollars of utilities there, and I want to make sure we have clarity.
Yeah.
That's all. Apart from that, water plant update, work is proceeding. The town is getting the shed built. The building trade kids are doing great. It's nice to work with them. We're also going to start maybe a conversation about a shed project up by the water tower for storage. It's nice to be able to, do something right there. We've had several meetings for wastewater companies. At the moment, there are 4 different engineering firms that have voiced interest in providing, at least beginning conversations with us about competing for the bid. So competition is a good thing, especially with price point. So we're encouraged by that, and all good companies. And we're looking hopefully to start moving on that a little bit firmer in January. Right now, Bob's doing a lot of exploration of systems with the SBRs and what kind of system is ideal for us and what is right. So we have a couple visits planned and do some tours, and we're still in that fact finding phase. But we'll be moving out of that pretty quick, I have a feeling. So last but not least, I spoke with Chris Hart from Cobblestone Hotel and also Jessica Yunker about the performa. She was kind enough I'll be approaching the Marshall County Tourism for a second payment for that performa data. And she had granted me permission to pass that performa data over to Cobblestone. They're very excited to sit down with the academy, some different individuals, start talking about possible locations and some different incentives, and looking at maybe starting to garner interest in investment. So we're moving forward with those conversations, and I'll keep you updated as those move forward. That's where we're at. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Heim, your report.
I've got a couple of invoices over 2,500 for your approval. Weir's International, 4,462.49 for repairs you needed on one of the ambulances. I believe it was the newer one.
Yeah.
And then Hunter Transit, 13,290. That is for some of the stormwater work. I believe it was down on the south end of town.
Was.
And then Ramco, $2,810. That will come from the GeoBomb proceeds, and that was the initial purchase of materials for the well house that the kids are working on.
Motion to approve claims over 2,500.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And moved by Mr. Muir, second by Ms. Monroe. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.
As I alluded to when discussing the budget, Marshall County Hope had come and you all had committed funds, I think, 2 years ago. And we passed those funds along in 2023. Since then, never received any invoices from them requesting funding. And so nothing was paid. And I talked with Annette Hanning a couple weeks ago, and she passed me along to Tim Starr, who is now, I think, their financial person for Marshall County Hope, and he did call. He's since issued me an invoice, provided me a copy of their W-9, and realized that no one in Marshall County had contributed any funds as he was looking at their funding sources. So they were low. So I just wanted to double back with you all to make sure that this is something that you want to continue doing for this year. And if so, I will put together just an agreement based on what we've done in the past and run it past Mr. Tankersley, and then cut that check at the next for in preparation for the next meeting. And then if you want to going forward, if that's something that you want to do again in 26, or if that's something else that you want to explore, some other avenues in which to use that money, you can do that as well. I would also suggest maybe having him come in and I can make that request to him at the next meeting, just to share what that group is doing. I know it's kind of an umbrella organization for a lot of organizations in Marshall County. They do have a website. I did take a look at that and just see what they were participating in. So
I think that's a great idea, Karen.
okay.
They have had some turnover, I think.
As a lifelong resident of Marshall County, this is the first time I've ever heard of Marshall County Hope. So I would definitely be interested in having somebody come.
They came in and presented to us a while ago. So it used to be,
They come in.
well, it's Marshall County. Yeah. It's Marshall
I
County
pulled up their
Home. It used to be
website.
Project Home. So, and it all kind of
Okay.
develops.
Okay.
So they kind of come together.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, I've heard of Project Hope, I've
There
not
you
heard
go.
of Marshall County.
Name change.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, I will ask him to come. I mean, is this something that you want to get funds for this year? It's $4,790 this year.
I think that's the only program that we found that does that work.
Yeah.
I do know they had some turnover, at least that's what I had heard. But I'm not involved enough in the county stuff anymore. I heard that maybe like a year ago. So it's old news, but I think it's a great idea to bring them in. I'm interested just because that's the one solution we have in the county.
I will request that he comes in.
And yeah, because I think what Karen's asking, and Karen could definitely correct me if I'm wrong, do we just want to give them the money because of our previous commitment, or has enough time passed that we want to, and their services may have changed, things like that.
Yes.
My perspective, not being here 2 years ago, I would like for them personally to come in.
Let's get educated.
Not a problem. I will give them a call. Wow.
Their mission has changed.
What their activities.
Yeah.
It's always good to have that update. And then I think the budget has gone through the first reading. We'll have the final reading at the next meeting, and then we'll move on from there. And then finally, just a reminder to those present that it's Girl Sale weekend. Listings are out front. There's an online interactive map that you can use. I think people were looking for the old map, and I kind of upgraded a little bit.
On the
So
website.
yeah, it's on the website. And then townwide cleanup is Monday, October 6th. You can stick your stuff out at the street and the guys will pick it up. We just won't take hazardous waste or tires. Anything else is fair game. That and here's a culvert will be through to help us clean up over the weekend. So, and that's all.
Contrary, just for the public record, the Crows are not having a yard sale, so seems like somebody stops
Just stop, right?
every year.
Just stop.
I put price tags on there with you. Every 4th of July, every spring, we're doing something outside, people.
It's gonna be down there with signage now.
You have anything else?
That's all.
All right. Council issues.
I have none other than it'll be a busy weekend in Culver, beautiful weekend for the water, and then the cross-country invitational and parents weekend. Yeah, a lot of people here.
For those days.
Ms. Monroe.
I just want to congratulate Karen on getting through first read of another budget. I don't think people realize the amount of work that goes into that. So congrats for usual great performance for us. We appreciate it very much. And thanks for the question on CRC, because we don't get that very often, and people get very confused about what redevelopment can support versus council. It's nice when we can get that information out. Sometimes we forget that people don't even realize that.
Try to explain, but you guys did a better job explaining it than he did.
And Marty?
Yeah.
Thanks for saying.
Mr. Shardy.
I don't have anything.
Mr. Croy.
Two things. First thing is, Dana, do do we need anything from the town's perspective as far as traffic and the cross-country invitational with that portion being shut down? Because I know that's a very big deal, and
Not being at the academy much anymore, I don't know what their plans are to shut that or control that, so I think it's
Just
just
talking about Lake Shore.
make
or
sure.
just, yeah, just that, really the intersection of 10 and 17 and like.
They have their security out there directing traffic and making sure I think it's mostly on 10, trying to figure out how, I'm not sure there's so much going south.
I've stopped and talked with Milestone, the workers and informed them what's going on this weekend, what they're about ready to see. And out of public safety and for their safety, I suggested maybe Friday would be a short day. But keep your head on a swivel kind of thing. And I've made that communication. I also appreciate tonight this recommendation.
It's only one way right now, isn't it?
It is.
It's slippery.
So we've had a long story about this, right? What seems to be for a field engineer, obvious isn't necessarily for public, right? So we've added, so a lot of signage, they've been very cooperative about adding signage. So we put a do not entry, so you cannot go north after Academy Road to access the bank or parking shop. However, we could not close that road. So you can come in off of 10 to access the bank and the parking shop. That will be open throughout the disruption. With a small disruption, but it's already happened. Nobody noticed. So we're good going southbound on that road only. Now, we've had some issues and we've been very good about not giving tickets. We're pulling people and we're just talking. The police have increased their force there. And so we're trying to cooperate, and we made the academy. I will reach out again just one last time and make sure that everybody understands it going into the weekend. So, but
Are there,
definitely.
no left-hand turn signs on parking shops property?
We've installed those.
Okay.
That was an ad, Jenny. Also coming off of Academy, it wasn't necessarily clear. It just said it had ND cohort. And everybody assumed that that doesn't tell them they can't turn left and go up towards the bank and stuff. So they're coming out there and they were turning left. So we've got that no turn now, and I've requested signs. And then through traffic wasn't good enough over there by 10. So we put parking shops open on a sign so people know we're trying our best.
Yeah.
And they've been really good. They're moving forward at a higher rate of speed than we thought. So we're really happy with where they're proceeding. We don't think it will take quite long, but.
But we did the parking shop sign, the 10, because I noticed the
No,
parking shop sign.
milestone.
Okay, because it was over the road closed sign.
No,
And I was
no.
like, if somebody's coming here, they don't know this
No.
road's closed.
Yeah.
And it says parking shop is open.
We requested it from Milestone. We do not handle anything like that. When we have a change or something, we have to go through them. So we asked them to communicate through.
It's very clear now.
I
Threw up.
I'm gonna stand out there with flashing lights if I have to. It's very clear.
So last thing, council issue, Mr. President, as the council knows this is coming, and as many of our friends already know, my wife and I kind of wrote this down, so I'm going to go off of what I wrote down here. Some important news to share. 2025 has had its share of ups and downs for us, and in February, we welcomed twin boys to the family, and our family has outgrown our home, and we have purchased a new home about 7 miles north of Culver. So of course, this does mean that here in the next 3 weeks, I will be forced to resign my seat on the Culver Town Council, which is something that I am very disappointed about, as not only was I the pro tempore fill-in for Bill Githens, but as I got my feet wet and continued and getting a lot of encouragement from this great group of people, something that I was really starting to enjoy. So just want to put out there, and I know it's gonna be a lot of typing, Karen, so just so everybody's aware on how the process goes. Okay, when the vacancy occurs because of this circumstance, the county party chairman, in this case, the Republican Party chairman, has to hold a caucus no later than 30 days after my resignation, which I will be turning in here in the next couple of weeks once our move is finalized. And then within that 30 days, they will publish when the caucus will be held. There's 2 people eligible to vote in the caucus. It's the precinct committeeman for Union Township precinct number 1. And because the Paddocks and Cavalier Drive area is in Union Township precinct 2, both of them will be eligible to vote. That's Amy Jones and Sean Cerisi. And anybody is able, in the party, I should say, is able to fill out forms. And I would highly recommend, if you're interested in that, that you contact Deb Vandemark. She is the county chair for the Marshall County GOP. And you can contact her. She'll get the information to you. You have to be a registered Republican, live in the town of Culver, and fill out 2 papers. And that's about it. But so everybody knows, and once my move is official, I'll officially turn in my resignation, but hopefully you can tell by my voice, I'm disappointed about it, but something that was in the best interest of my family, and so felt that I needed to do. But I appreciate the encouragement and emails I've gotten from all of you. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Croy. Thank you ever so much. I have nothing. I'll entertain a moment to motion to adjourn. Mr. Neer. Second by Mr. Fardy. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Good night.
My goodness.